Welcome along to the Onroad podcast, episode 6. I'm not going to say we're back because I always say that at the start of every podcast, but we're back. And I am super excited that Ant Lockyer is back in the fold after a little bit of a time out in episode 5. So welcome back, Ant.
Thank you. Pleased to be back.
And listen, Ant, this is the first time that we've spoken face to face as such since goodness knows when we probably last maybe did a podcast or maybe raced.
Race. It was Barham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When we had the was that the day that we had the gazebo disaster?
Oh my God, it was the gazebo disaster.
That was a good meeting. Not a good meeting for racing or comfort or anything like that. But
for the shits and giggles, it was up there. It was up there.
Of 3 gazebos.
I mean, a very, very quick backstory. I bought a very cheap gazebo that had upright struts and that were made out of paper. I mean, it looked like steel or metal, but it was principally paper. And someone had a sneeze, and it blew over pretty much, didn't it? And we were on the edge of the track, and it was madness. It was madness.
Yeah, wet and windy day. Always windy at Barham. Always sunny at Barham. That's the track line, isn't it? But it wasn't.
Yeah, it was good to run it, and then of course the dreaded COVID hit, and then everything shut down, and it's kind of shut down for a lot of people. And I think something that we wanted to talk about tonight was people not doing RC. I mean, I'm the pervert and the addict that I am. I have been doing RC with the Onroad podcast race series and all that kind of stuff. But you stepped back from it and stepped away. And how's that been for you? Sort of taking stock of RC in general and what it meant to you probably, and not doing it, found other stuff to do, and where are you at with it?
Yeah, so it was more about taking stock of life really, and just not, once you stop doing things. Now I would have said that I was a total addict as well, and you always used to say to me that me reading RC tech every day was not good for me and all of this, and that was probably why I wasn't getting better, or some words to those effects. But yeah, just not having anything to do, or not having things to do that I would have done, and you just kind of assess what's going on. So it's like, it's not just RC, it was everything. I'd stopped doing everything. I'd stopped going out, stopped going to the club that I was in, stopped doing a lot of things. And then when I was sat at home and just thinking, right, when things are starting back up, I went and did some races in the middle of lockdown, and I was not a fan of wearing a mask. I'm not a fan of wearing a mask. I found it very uncomfortable. I found all the extra stuff around COVID really uncomfortable, and made me enjoy things a lot less. And I think there was some level of what do they call it? Open up anxiety, or opening up anxiety going back. But I felt a little bit odd. Like, I went and raced at Eastbourne, and I was people that I'm, really good friends with, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable for some reason. I don't know what that was. So yeah, I stopped doing everything, and then I've only really started up doing things that I really feel like I want to do. And so I don't want this to be negative.
No, sure.
But we were driving through Chesterfield the other week. And
you were.
We were, yeah. Me, my wife, and my kid on the way to somewhere, and I was looking out for where the races were held. I've never been there before, and it was something like, this looks like every other place that I go to race RC cars. I stay in Premier Inn, which looks exactly the same as every other Premier Inn, and I sit down and I eat the same food, the barbecue chicken thing, and drink the same beer and have pretty much the same conversations, and go and sit in a hall that looks pretty much the same as every other hall. And I was just saying it's weird because there's nothing really different about any of it. And some people really like the social aspect of it, and I do to some extent, but then I just want to go and sit on my own. Like, too much information, too much talking to people, I can't deal with. So I just want to sit on my own and be a little bit insular. Then we was talking about outdoors. So like the remedy to the same school hall and the same Premier Inn or whatever is to go and race outdoors. And then you look back at the gazebo disaster and how many outdoor meetings have we had that have been, well, how many outdoor meetings have I had that have been a roaring success, underprepared for the weather conditions? You really need to invest in it, and I didn't. So yeah, and then just being away from home. I was away a lot, Holland, Germany, all over, and I guess I've just had a bit of a reassessment. All my stuff's sitting right next to me, and talk to you, talk to Matt Baker, and it's like I look over it and I think I've no idea what oil is in my diff, no idea what oil is in my shocks. The car needs a rebuild, and I haven't really got the impetus to do it at the minute.
Yeah, and I think that's I relate it, and it's only from an experience perspective. When you were younger and you went out with the lads 2, 3, 4 nights a week, and you're getting hammered, hung over to shit, and you get on that merry-go-round of having a good time and a good night out, you don't know what life is like without a hangover. And you get caught up in having a really good time, and you wake up and you're blurry-eyed and you feel like crap for the first hour of the day, and then you kind of second wind come 3 o'clock and it's right, let's go out and hit it hard again.
Yeah.
And it's that merry-go, and I think when you've not done RC racing and you've not had to go stand at home, and and you're like me, you like to get the car right before you go to a track, which takes time at home. I think that is that's a whole conversation in itself. I think that what the real emotions, and I think we should touch on that. But when you get out of that loop and then you realise there's other stuff out there, I think that's the bit that really finds out your passion for a hobby, a pastime. But equally, you also forget what it actually gives you, don't you? Because you forget of the interaction, you forget the adrenaline on the rostrum, you forget having a laugh at your wheel flying off, or and then the euphoria of doing something better than you potentially dreamed of or expected to do. So there is those highs and lows, but I think the being away from the home thing, I really battle with that. I mean, I've travelled a lot, as you probably have with work and over the years, and when I go away racing on a Friday, I have these real pangs of anxiety that I'm away from, and she's doing her thing and I should be there, but yet at the same token I need to be living my life. I want to do the things that make me fulfilled, but I don't want to upset my wife. I don't want to make it, but my wife is absolutely superb when it comes to me traveling around, and she's got a horse and her pastime, so she's as long as I don't take the piss, she's cool with it, and I would always be the one that would say, no, I'm not doing this weekend because I feel bad. I've never heard Laura say, no, you shouldn't be going away because I don't want you going away. And I think I'm quite lucky, and I think you're probably in the same boat in that
similar
regard.
I think having a kid makes a bit of a difference. That did change things, just like I mean, my guilt levels, not the because I know how difficult it is to be on your own, and I know that anytime I went away she would act up.
Right.
Because I'm not there.
And so those guilt levels, they do. If I'm going away with work, it's completely different because it's my job. But going away with the lads and racing a car and doing that kind of thing, that does weigh on me quite heavily. And so again, if you get out of that loop and people have been at home with their wives and the wives have enjoyed their husbands not going away, etc., it's going to be then difficult to get back into it. So again, it's another problem that people start to have to overcome. You then start to add the cost of it, and if it's a bit, the budget is a bit tight, and there's a lot, and you can really see how RC needs to do something to attract the next generation or the next era, I think, of getting people encouraged to go out and spend some money to go racing. And I think the BRCA, and not speaking derogatory towards them, it does feel like all we got to do is open the books and people will come flooding back in. And I don't think that's going to be the case. And we only have to look at 10th scale, the touring car. It's been under supported, isn't it? There hasn't been that many people, from what I've seen, getting involved.
Yeah, I didn't look. So this is interesting. So I'm still in all of the Facebook. I don't really go on Facebook very much, but I am in all of the Facebook groups, and so I get posts from now and again. And I was looking at the sections that had been putting stuff on, and I did see quite a bit of touring car stuff. And obviously you've got the King of Clubs stuff that Eastbourne, Ada, and whoever else is involved is doing. But yeah, I thought this isn't a criticism because I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think the lack of series going on played a little bit of a part in my not returning. I'd based what I was going to be doing of the season around regionals, and then there was no regionals, and that was a big disappointment.
You're talking about buggies buggies, yeah.
And that was a disappointment. And so that was just one aspect of it. So I don't know if there could have been, like I say, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know if, and you had to cancel things. So you put stuff on, you forged ahead, but you did have to cancel some stuff and move stuff around, didn't you? So it's I understand the risks involved, and when it's not just one man who's willing to take a load of risk and a load of flack, it's a bit more difficult, right?
Yeah, I think it's the addiction of wanting to go racing that caused me to push forwards. But I also take it, and I certainly am not looking for the Nobel Peace Prize here, but you're also dealing with people's livelihoods, aren't you? You're the MB models of this world, the Zen Racing, RC Disco, and Model Sport. There's a lot of companies out there. Of course, the racing market is small, and the bashing market is big. But if there are no events, then people aren't going to spend. And I felt that wasn't right either. I think that if without series running, you're having a negative effect on businesses. And I think putting on an event is the conduit to people earning a living. And I think if you're not doing that as an organisation, I don't think you're upholding your part to play. Now I know everyone's a volunteer and etc., but with not much going on, it's really not difficult putting on events. Let's face it, it's booking a school hall, getting a club to put down some carpet, and then taking a load of entries. It really isn't, and I don't mean to speak of it as a small job, but it's not a difficult process. It's difficult when things are changing all the time, of course, and having to then, but that's only communication and a database and communicating via email and making sure everyone's in the loop with everything, and that's not really difficult. So I do think that there were many people like yourself that gone, there's nothing going on, park it in the corner, I'm done with it for now. So I think that's where the next cycle of events, there needs to be a bit more than we're putting on a meeting this weekend and off we go. I think it needs a bit more than that.
Yeah.
what that is and how that looks, I've got my own ideas, and I try to do that with the podcast series. But and and it was funny because I was talking to Andy Thompson and G and Nigel Bowen and Stu Barber and the whole host of the people that were regulars on the podcast series. There was so much racing. Now G, he did the first weekend and said, "Stu, it's too much for me. That can't cope with it. Yeah,
brilliant.
Can't cope with it. Because it was open practice for an hour, 4 rounds, 3 finals, and he couldn't deal with that much racing. For me, the addict, is perfect. The thought of now going 4 finals, 4 qualifiers, 1 final, and home, it's not a lot of racing for me. But that's only because of what I've just experienced with podcast series. Again, not saying I wouldn't attend them, but if someone said to me, there's a buggy meeting that's going to give me open practice for an hour, 4 rounds and 3 finals, and I could do that on a Saturday and Sunday, and it's only an hour up the road, I'd probably go, do you know what? I might give that Tamworth meet or that Chesterfield meet a swerve.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's come out of lockdown for me, that I want more, I don't want less, which we've talked about on previous shows about, cutting down quality, practice run on a Sunday for 4 minutes so we can all get out early.
I don't get it.
There was not one person. There was Steve, the only person, and Richard Parker on the Sunday. In 2 occasions, they both came up to me and said, "What time are we going to finish?" And they sort of scratched their head when I said it's going to be 5:30, possibly 6 o'clock. Can we get away earlier? And then I just said, no, we can't, because this is what we're doing. Yeah. And whether we get away half an hour early, it makes not a jot of difference, but the experience and the amount of racing was loads. And I didn't hear anyone say, "Oh, it was too much racing," apart from G. Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt then.
Yeah. I had a copy mention me on the podcast, so I have. There you go, G. So what does the future hold for Ant Lockyer and RC racing, do you think?
I don't know. Matt said about going buggies on Sunday, and I said I'm kind of tempted, but I honestly can't face rebuilding the car. I don't know. I think it's a problem of getting started. I think maybe once I do, then I've got a lot to do. I've got a lot of other things that I'm doing, and I'm just enjoying not having to do stuff and deciding at the last minute. It's like a bit of a commitment, a changing commitment, where my entire life was mapped out to the nth degree, and I was triple booked every weekend. I was having to choose what I was going to do, and now I don't book anything in, and I get up on a Saturday and I go, I might go to Folkestone today, or I might go for a drive, or whatever. And I'm enjoying that. It's like, just a bit different.
Yeah, and that there is an element of enjoyment in the freedom of that. Again, my addiction for RC has got stronger, not weaker, because I've got, and I hope this doesn't sound big-headed, but I've got better, and of course, if I've got better, I feel like, well, I need to keep going now. So it keeps fueling it. And
so that's an interesting one. So this is something else that is related. So I got back into cycling during lockdown, and got a static trainer, one that you plug into Zwift, and I did all the Zwift racing and all of that, and got back in, started doing time trials outdoors, and got really into it, and was training really hard every day, as you know. And then I had one race, and I was sick as a dog. Just, I'd 6 weeks of daily hard sweat had gone down the pan, And I just thought to myself, and I had a week off, and I came back after the week off, and my fitness was trashed. And I thought to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing something that is so temporary and requires a constant effort for no permanent benefit? So I kind of just knocked it on the head instantly. Just like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And RC, for me, my particular makeup of skills or whatever, I would say I was maximizing the tools that I had, the physical skill. I was maximizing that through hard work, and my car being absolutely spot on where it could be. Stuff I was doing during the week, going to practice. I mean, I was at Barham in the lunch times, all this, right? But the same sort of thing, that if I don't do that, I won't be as good as I was. And it's just this temporariness of all of this effort that I have to put in for minimal gains. And then it's like, so I was thinking, well, could I be happy with just going around and kicking it around? And I'm not sure I could be. And it's a little bit like golf, right? Same thing with golf. If you don't maintain it, then you lose it. And is it any fun anymore? There's lots of people chopping it about, but I don't know whether I am a chopper. I mean, I am a chopper now, but I'm not sure if I enjoy being a chopper.
Yeah, I mean that is. So I'm going to give you two instances there that are sort of antagonists to your argument there. Nigel Bowen and Andy Thompson. So we went up and did a practice day at MB. We were doing it every Friday.
Yeah.
So I did all of them practice day on the Friday. Andy did them all, and Nige came up for the last series. And Andy has done nothing. He's done nothing, no buggies in between the lockdowns. He's done the odd day, but really. Now within 5 runs, bearing in mind I've been going at it hard, he was doing the same lap times as me within 4 or 5 runs. And Nige was the same.
Yeah.
So, but then when we got to the weekend, there was a separation.
Right.
There was the depth of which they could race at had changed. So I think you'd be surprised at how quickly you would get back on the horse and be every bit as quick as you were when you left. The ability to do that under the pump might change. And I think that's just the confidence in your own ability.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to golf, I am without doubt a much better player now than I was 15 years ago. And I practice less. Well, I don't practice. I just play. But that's through knowledge and maybe a bit of fitness and et cetera, et cetera. So I think there are definitely, the old 10,000 hour rule and all that kind of stuff. I think there are pluses and minuses to that. But I don't think that is necessarily applicable to all of us, some of us, or none of us. I think everyone's going to be different. But I would certainly say that you're definitely not going to be starting from zero. And I think it is much easier to get back to a level that you've already been at than shift to a newer level. So if you've been a 60% driver, I think it's very easy to get back to 60. I think it's harder to go from 60 to 62% when you're doing it every week.
Yeah.
So I think that you shouldn't feel that is going to be one of the niggles that it feels like I'm starting from scratch again, because I don't think it will be, just from witnessing two guys and who was the other one, Stu Barber, hadn't done anything, again wickedly quick on the Friday, and even stuck it in the A at the first podcast event, and he had done nothing. He'd done a little bit of ERC. So I don't think you can necessarily hang your hat on the fact that it's temporary, like the racing, because fitness is a whole new kettle of fish. Yeah. So I think that's something to sort of mull over and not necessarily make that be a negative decision.
Yeah, for sure. It had come up, I'd thought about it from a cycling standpoint, and I thought, what else in my life was like this?
Yeah.
Because I've been going back to karate, I've been doing karate for a long period of time. I've been involved with karate, but I haven't been training very much, if at all, for a number of years. Now, karate is one of those things that the things that, apart from the fitness side of things, the things that you learn through it are permanent. The character built-in aspect or whatever you're making permanent changes. So I guess I've just been thinking about karate is my main outlet at the moment for anything that isn't just hanging out and chilling. So yeah, it was just that I'm doing something that has permanent benefit for effort, and I'm putting in a lot of effort, right? Because as you know, that's what I do. I try hard. I'm a tryhard.
Yeah, but if you look at the range of sports, there is, and that's the beauty of sport, right? Very rarely do you find a sport that if you actually put effort in, does it guarantee you payback?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you could spend your lifetime on the range at golf, and you'll still be shit.
Yeah.
And equally, you could go, and this is the whole point about stick time. No. It is not just stick time. There is way more than that. And I think that's, if you found a sport in karate that feels like it gives you sustainability, if you were to walk away from it and then come back to it, and it feels like you could tap back into the same performance, I mean, that's a winner, isn't it? Because that feels like every time you do it, that's banked. That's banked.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
banked. As opposed to you go and play or go race your car at the Euros and you finish third in the B final. Brilliant. I've stepped up. You go to Chesterfield the following week at the National and you throw it in the C final. That could quite easily happen.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it doesn't quite equate that way with perhaps karate or golf or to the same extremities, because certain tracks that suit certain people, don't they, and certain conditions suit certain people, and after a bit of qualifying and you're behind the 8 ball, you can very quickly go from being someone that feels like they can stick it in the A final or B final to bloody being down in the D&E, because we've all done that, haven't we? It's not good. So King of Clubs, what's been your take on that? That looks like that's a series that's growing in strength to strength, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen very little apart from friends of mine sending me links to sign in. But yeah, I mean, it's great, and it's put on by the clubs. The clubs obviously want people to come and race because that's what they do. And it's self-organized, and so there's a kind of mutual benefit for everyone to make it a success, right? So all the people from all of the clubs travel to the other clubs, and there's some rivalry involved, and yeah, all good.
Yeah, I mean the range of classes is good, I think. And I forget the chap's name, because he is along the same lines of wanting a slight bit of change to racing in general. He wants to create something that's a little bit more grand, and I think he's certainly delivering that. I mean, it's when you've got RC Racing TV involved, that suddenly gives it more credibility. some looks like some decent prizes, some trophies, got some good banners, and it's just becoming an event, isn't it? And I think that's what anyone with a pastime, they want to go along and feel special, don't they? I mean, I know it sounds silly, but you do want to go along and feel like it is an occasion. And I think that's see, for me, and I've spoken to Dave Spashett about this, he feels that the clubs are the way to have bigger events. But I think bigger events are the way to make clubs thrive. Because if there's a national series that is grandioso in whatever class, I will go to a club, excuse me, to practice and prime myself for a national event.
Yeah.
If there was no European tour, I would never have practiced my nuts off to try and make it on the European tour.
Yeah.
I would never have stayed at my golf club and kept on playing in the monthly medal because I wanted something bigger and better. And so I think when you've got something that is to race for, like the King of Clubs, and you've got your F1 and you're racing it down at West London on a Sunday where they get a big meet, they're practicing for King of Clubs because it's a big meet. And I think that's the drive behind clubs, not the clubs driving the nationals. For me,
I think it's possibly a bit of both, right? I mean,
of course. You
look at golf clubs. When I was in the EGU gold medal, it was being played at a certain course, and I went and played at that certain course. I would never have played there before. I had no impetus to play there other than to practice. And had a blinding practice round and absolutely muffed it in the competition, a bit like I do in RC. But so it's like I can actually see both sides of the coin there. Of course. I think you're both right.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Dave's got incredible experience, and I think you're absolutely right. One can't exist without the other, and I think there needs to be no more emphasis placed on clubs more than nationals. I think they both have a role to play in making RC thrive. So when you see something like King of Clubs, which really is born out of the lack of events, isn't it? I mean, my series has come out of a lack of events in 12 scale. King of Clubs has come out on the back of the lack of events. And in buggies, the Zoom series, the Schumacher series, has come out on the back of lack of events. So you've got 12 scale, touring car, and buggies. Individual folk have put on Schumacher slightly different. But me and I must apologise to the chat because I've just looked on my messenger to find out what his name is that's put on King of Clubs. Myself, him, and Schumacher have gone out of their way to put on a series of events for people to go race. I don't think that's right, because that's like the European Tour saying we're not going to play golf anymore, and then Lee Westwood gets off of his backside and puts on a golf series because he wants to go and play some tournaments. So I think that has been, I think from a positive aspect, you could say that we've now got potentially 3 series more than we would have done. So when the BRCA does start up and do more, we're going to have even more racing than we ever did before. But whether the calendar then suddenly works for that is another complication, because of course I thought about, well, look, in my heart of hearts, I actually had hoped that the BRCA, being a bit controversial tonight, the BRCA didn't put on a winter series, a national series, because I would have liked to have taken the role of putting it on through the winter and getting more people, because I think we got 35, 40 people per event, which is a decent turnout for a summer series, for the summer of an indoor series. To then do it in the winter and put out the 3 finals that we were running, the reverse grid, that honestly was just a screaming success. Everybody, I mean, Stu Barber in the first event, I actually ran it past him about doing a reverse grid. I said, what do you think? He said, it's a crap idea.
Yeah.
Why would I want a TQ and then be stuck at the back of the grid? And I said, well, look, there's 3 finals, so you're going to have your 2 finals, but it just saves someone that wins the first one because he's TQ'd and then does a runaway with the second final and then doesn't race the third final. Yeah. At least in the second final, you could finish 5th because you started at the back, which would then make you go and run the last final and win it. And of course, he finished 10th. He qualified, 6th in the A final. So of course, he was then pole man for the reverse grid, and he forgot to turn right at the end of the straight. He just turned left.
Brilliant.
He just shat himself. Now that is a memory forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, and absolutely the whole place. We had Jody Sherratt start back of the grid on I think the second or third. He held up Ollie the whole way.
Yeah.
We had Finn hold up Ollie the whole way in the last one, Finley Williams. Honestly, some of the racing was just unbelievable because of the reverse grid, because you all of a sudden had a different mindset that the guy in front is faster than you. So I'm not the guy in front is slower than you. So I'm not going to try and overtake him on the very first bend.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to drive around behind because I know I'm quicker than him.
Yeah.
So everybody pulled away from the start line, being really, really cautious for the car in front. We had no wipeouts.
Yeah.
Flipped it around the other way, different story.
Yeah.
So I think, it's getting slightly sidetracked there. We've got. I'd hoped that the BRC hadn't put on the Winter Series or the Nationals that they have done, because it would have been nice to have carried on the podcast series, try and make that bigger and better, and be the competition for the National Series, and hopefully to try and make the National Series become something different, to offer a different experience that probably we're looking for people that have been out of the game and looking to come back in, to make it feel a little bit different. Because I think you've got a lot of people that are good drivers, and on Mark Stiles, he's not done anything. He for me, he would be the type of guy that would find it really difficult to come back and not be as good as the others that have been racing. And I think he's the type of guy that would say, do you know what, I'm going to walk away from it because I'm not sure I can cope with now finishing 6th or 7th, because Andy Smith's got better, because Louis Parker's got better, because Andy Murray's got better, because Ollie's got better, and all of a sudden he hasn't got enough time to catch up and get a little bit better. I'm sure he will, but I think you've got some good drivers that would rather go, do you know what, don't fancy that anymore, because I've found other things in my life and I don't need the angst of no longer finishing 3rd. So it's going to be interesting to see how well supported the 12 scale Nationals will be taken up by guys that haven't been racing.
There's a lot, you said a lot there. I think that I've always thought, and this is not just with RC, but just stuff in general, that committee run or government run things like the BRCA run events or EFRA run events to some degree, PGA to some degree, but bear me out. It's not quite right. Is that they're governing bodies, like governing body organised stuff, or government organised stuff. So like, anything that was a privatised thing didn't really work as well as it could have for various reasons. And I think that the various reasons all boil down to, if you were running it as a business, you would possibly do things very differently. And if you were doing things with a different, like your mindset was, this needs to be the best RC race in the world, or this needs to be like, what was your, like, if you had to say this was the mission statement of the Onroad podcast series, what would you say? What were you trying to create?
I was trying to create an experience that made everyone in the room feel a little bit special.
Yeah.
And not for it to be another sports hall with a bunch of fellas running a car for the hell of it.
Yeah. And what do you think the BRCA mission statement is for putting
to find a national champion? To find a national champion.
Yeah. So it's a very different thing, right? Because to find a national champion, you could do anything, and you're not trying to create an experience, or you're not trying to make it the best thing it could be.
There's a difference here. The PGA, and we'll take the PGA. The PGA is a business.
Yeah.
It's trying to create golf professionals that offer a service.
Yeah, which is why I was kind of caveating it.
No. But they do run events, and for instance, the European Tour, you can have a practice round in your shorts.
Yep.
As a PGA professional, you can't have a practice round in your shorts at an official PGA event. So that's the difference between the entertainment industry and a governing body. The BRCA are in the entertainment industry. They're not in the industry of creating a business. So they are trying to make an experience for their members that makes them walk away feeling that was awesome, because there's only one guy in the room that's going to be the national champion. And he's going to walk away with a bar of chocolate and a piece of paper. So even when he wins, as soon as he's got out the room, nobody cares. But if when they walked out of the room, they said, oh man, how good a day was that? That was something a little bit different. Oh, we had such a great laugh. Oh, not Ollie, Andy, Dave, national champion. Fantastic. See that trophy that he won. See the champagne that he poured off. What about the confetti that threw out the wall? Unbelievable. The balloons went up. That was fantastic. Listen to the speech that he made. Where's that all gone? That is crowning of a national champion. And Peter Winton came on to Facebook and said a snidey little comment about putting on a series that creates and finds a national champion. Well, when there's 45 people or 50 people entering and they don't have to qualify for it, that's not really a national championship. That's just 40 guys fighting it out and going against 5 people that are or have been full-time professional racers. So it's not a level playing field. So what you're actually doing is putting on an event for 5 guys. You're not creating an experience for 60 people in that room. And I think that's what we're talking about. That turning up at an event and having a table with your name on that you don't have to have a bun fight for.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. Turning up, paying your entry fee, and having a cup of tea for free. Turning up, having some chocolate, or whatever it is. At the last event, there's chocolate everywhere. There's boxes of heroes on the table. There was bloody. I gave away a free body shell. Now, I made no money, and I spent out a bit as well. But I didn't have to spend out a bit. I took £2.50 out of every entry fee, and I put that towards prizes, and I got some help from other places. And on average, I was giving Michael Ball £1,000 for every weekend. Yeah. Now, what club would not want that? And is it not creating an experience for everyone to have a good time or walk away feeling like it was something a little bit different? Yeah. Listen, I might not have delivered that, but I don't think labeling it the priority as being delivering a national champion is what this is about. It should be about providing entertainment.
Yeah, I agree. And that was, you've pretty much made my point for me. So you look at ETS, or you look at anything that those guys do, it's, you look at the really big nitro off-road stuff in the States, like the one the guy does at Halloween with all the, you know, they have a band playing in the thing, and you know, girls dressed up as, I don't know what, vampires and all of that, you know, just entertainment. And you look at and then on a much smaller scale now, so this is something that I haven't thought about before until tonight. So you're talking about clubs and race series events. We're talking about King of Clubs being something a little bit special. It is a club meet that other people visit, right? That's basically the same. It's the same thing, but there's a reason for people to come through the door. If you look at EWS, it's basically a club meet, admittedly on a very, very big scale, you know, big track and all of that, but it's just in a sports hall in Essex. And then on the buggy side of things, we've got Essex Carpet Clash. You know, it's just,
of course it is.
It's just a club meet.
Of course it is.
With a fancy name that we drive miles and miles to go to.
Of course it is.
So it's all optics. It's all branding.
How you perceive it. Of course
exactly.
it is.
Yeah. So, you know, we go to 1066. We go to 1066 for a club meet, and we love it because it's brilliant. And then we go to 1066 for a winter whip, and suddenly you're at a race series. It's exactly the same thing.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But why the European Tour is a society that plays for a lot of money. It's 155 guys every week playing for a lot of money. It's the same 155 guys, the same as the Surrey Artisans Golf Society that goes around, same 65 guys playing all the different clubs. They're not playing for any money. But if someone suddenly turn up and say, you're playing for 5 million this week, oh, are we? Oh, fantastic. Yeah. They still go out and play. There wouldn't be any crowds. So how is that any different? And that's the whole point with this lot.
Yeah.
Fuck the national champion.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I want to come along and have some fun. I want a table with my name on it. I want to have loads of racing. I don't want to be talked down to like I'm a 5-year-old. I want to have some practice. I want to go out there and I want to have a laugh. You know, and that is what every racer is striving for, and the King of Clubs is putting that on. And they've got some TV involved as well. Yeah. You know.
While we're talking about King of Clubs, I need to remedy me not knowing which clubs was involved, because they all deserve an equal amount of whatever time this
recognition.
Is. Yeah. Ada or Ada, depending on.
I prefer Ada.
So do I.
Because it reminds me of an old lady.
Okay. Yeah. old Aunt Ada.
Yeah.
From down at the coast. Aldershot.
Yeah.
Colchester.
Now that is a fantastic. I mean, they're all fantastic clubs. But Mark Payne, who was on the last podcast, he and the Tamiya E series.
Yeah. Which I'm going to come on to.
Yeah. Sorry.
Colchester, Eastbourne, and West London.
Yeah.
Working together with the BRCA and the RC industry, running an inter-club championship alongside a drivers' championship. Investing and sharing the results together. That's their strapline, which I like.
Yeah.
The investing is important. So investing then. So I just want to sum up my ramble in a very. All of my thoughts can be summed up in that I don't want to be governed. I want to be entertained. That sums up my BRCA.
I've missed you so much.
I've missed you too. This is a loving. Can we stop holding through it? Welling up. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and when you see a post, when you see 8 motors in pouches with people's names on, saying we've checked these and these are all okay. Honestly, it makes me want to throw up in my mouth, because we didn't have any rules we just said, look, run to the BRCA guidelines. If you want to run light, if you want to run heavy, go for it. But don't, there was a young lad, or there was a lad that ran a certified motor. I had a word in his shell like, don't be silly, change the motor or take the end plate off, but don't make it blatant. And that was all that was needed.
Yeah.
Now, when you're crowning a national champion, it's when you have to start maybe getting rules involved. But who cares?
Yeah.
Because if you want to cheat and you feel good about it and you think that's the way forwards, go for it. But that's not what sells product, is it?
No.
That is not what is going to make win on Sunday and then go and buy it on Monday. It just doesn't work that way anymore. It's the entertainment industry, and I've gone with X-Ray because I love the help that I get from those guys in the 12 scale division.
Yeah.
That's why I've gone with it. No more, no less. Schumacher did really well with me, and I think the whole caveat of the rules is based upon if you win, you're going to sell more of that kit. I think it's fundamentally what people are trying to push for in this hobby.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it works that way anymore. And so when you've got someone sitting on the side there saying, sorry mate, you can't go out because you've charged your lipo to 4.21 instead of 4.20, and if you do it again, you're going to have to be told to leave the room, when the lipo can go way higher than that. I mean, honestly, stop yourself.
Yeah.
You know, listen, I mean, I'm throwing caution to the wind here, and probably nobody's going to ever speak to me again, but it is, I'm there for fun, aren't I?
Yes.
And so, when you put in on these events, I think we need to start to get perhaps a little bit more of a grip of what really matters and what doesn't matter.
Yeah. I agree. Right, enough of that.
Yeah.
Tamiya Junior E.
Oh, love it.
So so some of this is good, some of this is bad. The good part is that there is a race series for basically children, or I mean Junior E. The clue's in the name. So it's the TTO2, Tamiya TTO2, which I've never seen one, but I'm guessing it's just like a simple touring car. There's loads of pictures of it with a body on, but I can't see one without the body on. Hold on, let me just Tamiya TTO2. So basically, dead simple, 120 quid or whatever it is, 130 quid. Shaft driven, 4-wheel drive. Just, it's like a posh Mini basically.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff. I don't know if they run silver can or what the electronics package is, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be like mini racing is, where it's like, rules that are very, very easy to follow.
Yeah.
And not so easy to cheat at.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that, you can go and I've heard the stories of the olden days of sticking things in motors and all of that, and zapping them and all of this nonsense. But I think that's entirely missing the point. Is that this isn't for people that are trying to be crowned anything other than the person that had the biggest smile on their face at the end of the day.
Exactly.
There is a big, very well put together Google Doc about how to go RC racing, which is brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah.
A bit long, but I do like the fact that the rules are at the end, so it's not like your like it opens up with the good stuff, right? This is a really cool radio controlled car, and this is how much it costs, and it's all broken down. Like, the kit, the paint, the radio gear, speedo, etc. And I like the fact that they've put tune-up parts recommended but not essential. But everyone knows that absolutely everyone will be running a single hop up.
Can't take their money quick enough.
Exactly, because why wouldn't you? But yeah, I think that's brilliant. And I think, you've talked about this, you've talked about attracting talent and attracting new people and all of that before. And this seems like a step in the right direction. So, yeah, good on King of Clubs and anyone else who was involved with getting that sorted out.
Yeah, and the numbers have continued to increase on the entries of that. I saw the first one; they didn't have that many, and it looks like it's just had a exponential growth, which is superb to see, because it's what should be happening, really. And that kind of, there's something really honest and pure about it. That people want to turn up, have a really nice time, feel like they're getting better, and just embrace their pastime to enrich their lives. Right? I mean, George Beard at the race series, he started. He needed to improve. Well, by the end of the race series, he'd moved up 2-3 finals. Chris Blackburn, the same, just kept on moving up. Glenn Atherton, my God, got himself an Automatics. Moved up. There were so many people that improved, and there was chat in the pits about helping each other. It was just such a really nice, honest environment.
Yeah.
But I put that down to, and this is going to sound a bit, do me a favour, the music. We had music in the pits all the time. At the start, there was adverts, and there was an advert that would come on about the impotency or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Chris Blackburn, he said, "Stu, can you turn the music off to my final, because I can't cope with B&Q selling me shit while I'm racing my car." And I just said, "No, Chris, deal with it." But then I took iTunes and there was no adverts, but it just immediately, walking in, and when I switch the music off, it's just a completely different atmosphere, isn't it? All you're hearing is the beep in the it just adds atmosphere, and it's such a simple thing. It's just such a simple thing, and I think that's what we're all missing, that a bit of a buzz indoors that is somehow outdoors seems to, you don't seem to have that problem, do you, outdoors?
No.
There's something about being in a sports hall that really makes the whole, I don't know, the smell of man, and it's just, it feels quite claustrophobic and quite closed. And I think that people want that outlet, and this Tamiya E is something that feels like it's bringing in some really good young newbies, and we need to keep hold of them, don't we?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's really important, how we do that. So have you followed much of the YouTube stuff with Kevin Talbot?
No,
is what I want to talk about.
No.
Are you familiar with this guy?
No.
So Kevin Talbot, look him up, because I think this guy is, I mean, I'm not obsessed with him, but I certainly look at his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Have you seen how many subscribers he's got?
1.16 million. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was about an hour ago. That was 1.15 million subscribers.
Right. Wow.
And this guy is,
I've seen it. I've seen the boat one, the giant 110 mile an hour boat.
I mean, he is the BRCA Antichrist. He is only out to smash cars up.
Yeah.
And just have a bloody good time.
Yeah.
And when you look at the energy that what have you seen?
So there's two just caught my eye. The first one was kaboom, plastic toy jet engine versus fire, and then the one below it is Lego boom, Lego V8 engine versus 55,000 RPM drill. Oh,
Honestly, he is the energy that guy brings RC racing. It's no wonder he's got the following.
yeah,
And I just think when you look at that sort of stuff and those videos, they're all under 10 minutes long,
yeah,
and he's making like 25 grand a month on
yeah.
YouTube revenue and stuff. But it's what the hobby is about, that kind of energy and excitement that I think that our hobby needs to crave, the racing aspect. But as soon as you start to get racing involved, like head to head, that's where it starts to get watered down, doesn't it? And I think that's the difficulty with, I want to beat him. How do you do that in a jokey, upbeat, good fun manner?
Yeah.
Without there being a shitload of rules, without there being a sterile environment. But again, goes back to the end. It's about entertainment, and that's all.
Yeah, well, that's it. You look at the 8th Nitro in the US, at these big entertainment-led events, and people are, whipping the jumps and doing all sorts of stuff, right? Because it's fun. They're still trying to win, but they're motocross style and downhill mountain bikes or whatever. A little bit of showboating never hurt anyone. A little bit difficult to do a 12 scale, but but it's like, when we used to go to Limburg for a practice day, and someone would take a buggy and it over onto the little buggy track, and Ollie would be trying to jump it from one side of the thing to the other. It's just purely fun. It's nothing to do with racing, nothing to do with trying to beat anyone else. Over on the on-road thing, it was a little bit more serious, but I think getting out of, I don't know, how do you do it? Getting out of the racing thing and into something less serious, but still with many people getting involved, like the banger racing thing. That looks hilarious, right? I mean, stock cars we talked about, and there's a place over near here, Paddlesworth Farm, I think it's called Paddlesworth RC or something, and they just put on like a weekend event where people go and take their RC cars and drive it around this track. That's it. That's the entertainment. You're meeting up with other RC nutcases to drive RCs and probably get pissed in the night. And stay in a camp on a campsite. And the planes, they have these massive festivals. You ever look at the Free Flight Festival? You ever seen that?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I've seen that.
It's nuts. People just chucking planes around left, right, and centre, crashing into people. It's the total antithesis of don't charge your battery to 4.21.
Yeah. But we can have both. I really think we can have both. We and it got like that in the final. I was very fortunate enough to get into the A finals, and by the end of the race series, there was Jewett, Macman, myself, Stu Barber, Jody Sherratt, Ollie Payne, obviously. We were all just having a giggle up there. Andy Smith, some really close racing. And when we got down, we all had a giggle about it.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's like, oh man, but not only that, we had 3 goes at it. It wasn't over by the first corner.
Yeah.
We got 3 goes at it.
Yeah.
And we got to chew the cud about it. And it was just different. It was just a different vibe because there wasn't this nose of a label of national champion and fucking rules and all of this stuff. I want to be the fastest. I want to beat everyone. I want to beat Ollie Payne. I want to beat Alex Hagberg. I want to beat Spashit. I want to beat them all. That is my dream.
Yep.
But I want to step off the rostrum and say, bloody hell, you beat me, you bastard.
Yeah.
But that was so much fun. That's what I want to do.
Yep.
I'm not interested in what that leads on to. Sells more kits, because it doesn't sell more kits, or else X-Ray would be the only car being used because Alex Hagberg was world champion or European champion, if that was what it took to sell loads of kits.
Yeah. So taking, I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with that because I don't know, but take Ollie, Alex, Andy, anyone who is supported heavily by a manufacturer, right? Take out the top handful and then just make it about everyone else for a moment.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember what finals I am in 13.5. I don't know, like E finals or D finals or something like that, right? At a national. There are people that say bad things to me at a national, like about, I don't know, or someone like drives into you or whatever and then shouts at you about it, or and I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
No.
And that there's no need for it. And if that happened in an environment where they weren't protected by like ridiculous anti-bullying rules, like if someone told me to fuck off in a shop, I'd knock their teeth out. It's that simple, right?
Yeah.
And people get so het up about stuff, and I think that they let it get in the way of their manners and let it get in the way of the reasons why they're actually there, because you're not going to be national champion, and it is a hobby, and it's just supposed to be a laugh. And you might have an X-Ray t-shirt on, or a Schumacher t-shirt, or a Roche t-shirt, or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're just a geezer giving someone some money for a hobby, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. You might be giving them less money, you might be getting a 5% off or whatever, but you're just a geezer who's there, like I am, to have fun. And so this is a plea a little bit, because part of not wanting to race, at least in bigger meetings, or at least at national 12th scale meetings, because I haven't had it most other places. I've had it in Europe a little bit, but it's just be nice to everyone, because we're all there to get on and help each other. And the karate thing is really important. So I've learned something recently. Bear in mind, I've been doing karate since I was 9, right? So, and I'm old. I'm going to be 47 in a couple
60
of weeks.
what? 47?
Yeah, 47. Thank you. And it's taken me till now to learn this thing, right? Is that every time you go to karate, so I kind of knew some of it. Every time you go to karate, whatever happens, you have improved in some way. It might have improved your mental, or it might have improved your physical. You might have got punched in the face really, really hard and learned something from it, right? Like how to not get punched in the face really hard, or whatever. I was at a class the other week, and there was a girl there. She must have been 13 or 14, and I had to train with her. And a year ago, if I were doing the sort of training I would have done, I would have been really smiley, really friendly towards her, and gone really easy and made it comfortable for her, because I remember being a kid and I remember it being very uncomfortable. But I've realised that would be doing her a disservice, because we're all there to help each other. And for her to face up to a guy who's been doing karate for a very long time, who's, I'm 6'1", and I'm all right at it. It looks like I've done it before. That's a fantastic opportunity for her to face up against me, and for me to not be smiley, and to be, obviously I didn't hit her, didn't try and put her on her ass, but I had the opportunity to help her develop as a person and help her develop as a karate exponent, in the same way that any other hobby. So now I'm realizing that any other hobby is exactly the same thing. We're all doing it for the same reason, ultimately, because it's fun, unless you're, Ollie or whatever, who I'm sure is still having fun, but he's there for a different reason.
Yeah.
And if the top 5 want to have a fight in the car park, that's up to them.
For it.
But me and 9 other guys that are in the D final, we should all be having fun. We should all be helping each other have fun, right? And so that's something that I think is missed a little bit, even at club races. Now I've had fantastic club races where West Kent, not many people. We have maybe like 14 people, say, right? So getting in the A is something that's not a pipe dream for me at that particular thing. And when you think about the other people that are there, you're actually in like, world class. You're in a world class race, basically. But then you've got Ollie reading the scoreboard while he's driving his car, and like, just having a massive laugh at it.
Yeah.
That is like the fact that pops into my head as an enjoyable moment in my life is him just like taking the piss while we're racing, shows that it's possible.
Amen to that.
And that's the sort of thing that I enjoy. You and me razzing it round Barham when there's not a race meeting on, and just launching our car, just trying to beat each other tooth and nail. I did not want you to beat me, right? 100%. It was brutal.
And vice versa, yeah.
And we were crashing into each other, and we were launching our cars, and it was the most fun, right? That sticks in my head. It's like someone say to me, tell me something fun about RC. Those things pop into my head instantly. But equally, some geezer just shouts at me at 1066 on the rostrum because I did something or whatever, and it's just like, mate, get a grip. It's a fucking Sunday night. I've just eaten an omelette and chips, had half a glass of lager, and I'm driving my car around like this little thing, this toy car. It might have cost me like 400 quid or whatever, but it's just supposed to be a bit of fun. Calm yourself down.
Yeah.
Sit down. I'll buy you a bar of chocolate, and let's just chill out. So So my plea is, everyone try and remember that we are there to have fun, and if you can help someone have fun, maybe they'll help you have fun as well. So that's it. Soapbox done.
Yeah. I attended Dash for Cash. Tony Evdoka's baby.
And you won the Reader's Wives thing for the best.
Fuck you.
The best buggy. Concours d'Elegance.
Concours d'Elegance. I've actually got it in front of me, but I won't talk about it too much. But they had a WAGs race.
Yeah, brilliant.
They had a buddy race.
Yeah.
Which honestly, and I did it with Ben Winters. What a lovely guy. He was full of COVID. He had a cold. And I was on the throttle and he was on the stick, on the steering. And honestly, it was just magnificent. I thought, this is going to be really hard work. But we got into a rhythm. And there was and when I watched the race before, it looked like people were driving their cars normally. It didn't look like they were. And I actually had to have a look up at the rostrum to say, are they really doing, like, sharing the transmission? And it's this kind of stuff. And I don't know if you listened to the Extra Lap podcast. They had Tony on, and they were talking about the race and the cash. And Tony was talking about trying to get cash involved so people made money and stuff like that, and walked away with something in their pockets. That's a point of view, and if people feel that walking away with money makes the day more enjoyable, so be it. But it's a different slant on something, and there was it was a really nice experience. I had an absolute blast in the pits. Everybody was trying their nuts off, but it was Yasser was helping me, I was helping Yasser across different teams, and it was just so much fun. It's probably the best weekends racing I've had. The sun was shining, and it was an amazing track as well. But all of the all of these auxiliaries with the bloody concourse prize and the WAGs race and the buddy race, and it was all doable. There was loads of drivers. There's like 85 guys there.
Yeah.
So, but there was no talk of got to get home early.
No.
No talk of rules and all. It's not what we're there for, and that again, that will become like a King of Clubs. That will grow bigger and better, and it's like EWS, like EOS. It's about the grandeur of it all, which we've spoken about, and I don't want to go on too much about that. But listen, the future of RC. How do you see it going after now that everyone's going to hopefully start coming back?
So something I would have liked to have known is whether RC sales picked up during lockdown, because certain like the cycling
I spent a fortune.
Yeah,
I spent a fortune.
You do. You kept everyone afloat. But like the cycling industry had huge influx of money. The home trainer market, you couldn't get. I ended up spending 1,200 quid on one because because it did all the things I wanted it to do, and it was hard to get anything else, right? Because shortages of stuff. So I just wondered, and then I was looking at I follow the British Model Flying Association on Instagram, and they were always putting things out about flying and everything. And I think that was a little bit more difficult because you had to go to the patch to do that, and restrictions and everything. But just popping down to the park to run a buggy around, or just razzing your Mini up and down the street, was doable. So it'd be interesting to know if bashing side of things had an uptick, and if it did, then you would hope that there would be some way of attracting those people, like maybe if some of them had bought Tamiya Minis or TTO2s or something like that, that would be an easy way in to more, and as I'm saying this, it's wrong, more serious forms of RC, because that's not what we want. We want less serious forms of RC, but you know what I mean, racing.
Obviously we're going to sort of slowly wrap this up here, but it'd be nice to get a guest on next time. Top 3 guests that you would like to have on the show.
Now, so should I tell you what my gut reaction was there?
Go on.
Was not someone who is known in general as a professional RC driver. Well, actually, the person that popped into my head was Matt Baker.
So mine is Tony Wade.
Right. So we're on the same on the same page. So it's about people that have fun doing RC.
Yeah.
And Matt has started buggying.
He has. Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. So, but yeah, Tony's wonderful value for money.
Oh my goodness, I love. You know what? Tony and I have butted heads a little in the early days. We had a bit of a falling out. I took the mickey out of him for driving 2 Mardaves around the GT12 worlds, and we butted. I then went away to Limburg with him, with Rob Jackson, and ate an unenviable amount of chicken. And they can pack their food away, let me tell you. And I love the fella. He is RC racing. In my books, that guy is what every RC racer should behave like, in terms of what is the enjoyment, the honesty that he races. He pulled out. I had some bad MP shells. I gave them to him. The budget is not as big as for Tony as it might be for some others, so I helped him out with some shells, and Jewett threw away a shell at one of the podcast series, and Tony whipped it out the bin and went up to Forest of Dean and practiced with it.
I saw it.
And he put it on Facebook. He's got only but fun and laughter for the hobby, and I think that is the guy that we need on the show. And I think Matt Baker would be a great guy to come and have on too. Brilliant. So you've been speaking to Matt a bit about RC in general?
Yeah, just to be honest with you, I haven't really been talking to anyone. I've stepped away from the social media a little bit and just got on with, because as you know, 80% of it is nonsense.
Yeah.
And yeah, just been chilling. So yeah, me and Matt occasionally, and exactly the same as you and me. It would be like 2 weeks will go past, and then it would be like, all right, mate, what's going on, or whatever. So it's been the same with Matt. He's been asking me stuff about buggies, and he asked me what buggy to buy, and we talked around different things and about what the future holds, right? So he's like, what's he going to do in the winter? Is he going to do 12? Is he going to do buggies? So interesting stuff.
And it'd be good to get G on as well. Actually, we should get him on, because he's 8 scale guy, and he loves his 8 scale.
Well, he's done lots of different things, hasn't he? He's
10th
really,
IC.
Yeah, really invested in it. He's had the time, he's had the money, and it would be, and it's not been something that he's done all of his life, which is unlike most other people, right, that are doing 8th. You look at all of those guys in 8th, they've been doing it for a very, very long time. But G's a recent newcomer. Although maybe 8th Electric was got a few people through the door. But yeah, G for sure.
Well, we'll get those 3 people up. Listen, Ant, this has been a fantastic show to come back to and chew the cud with you. We've obviously not spoken on the telephone and face to face and stuff, and it's nice to catch up and chew the cud, and hopefully this has potentially given some RC juices a bit of a fire up, and maybe the spark to perhaps get the buggy out and give it a razzle around.
We'll see.
But anyone, as we always used to do, anyone you want to mention before we close up?
It's still the same people, right? So I've still got a Yokomo, I've still got Roche, still got Destiny. So my touring and 12 scale stuff, Zen Racing's still where it's at, and our Yokomo situation is somewhat interesting, but lots of people have helped us with Yokomo. So that's it, really.
Good stuff. For me personally, I'm associated with X-Ray and Yokomo and a few other people, but I there's a big part of me that the impartiality of RC, not being labelled with a brand. I feel like I'd love to help anyone with any car, not just like the greats of the hobby. Not saying that I'm obviously in that category, but I think the impartiality of racing and not having major sponsors is kind of a cool thing to have.
Plus, so you get to buy all the cars.
Exactly. So I'd like to say a big thanks to HSBC Bank and American Express. So that,
and all of your clients.
And all my clients, yeah. And thanks so much. That's the end of the show.
Thank you, buddy.
That's the end of the show, guys. Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, click the like button. Send us some comments down below. It'd be great to hear from you. And we'll see you all again trackside soon.